Hey guys, and welcome to another edition of Pro Hire Truck TV. And today we're, as always, out and about. Sunshine is out, and we're in the northwest. While I've got the opportunity at the Tesla site at the Trafford Centre. Today I wanted to look at a couple of things, and for those who've followed me for a while, we've got I have a Tesla S and had it now for 2 years, coming up in about 4 weeks time, coming up 45,000 miles, and I wanted to try and reference that against the new Model Y. And I've not been in the car yet, but looking at them together, it's a big car for the money. And considering that that car is probably now nearly double the price, I think you're going to get some good value for your money with an electric car today in this space. And currently Tesla are still moving forward. They're being swallowed up and being caught and chased by all of the other OEMs. But if we just take a step back and see where that's come from, where it's going to, and how we develop what's coming down next, I think it'd be a worthwhile use of our time. So let's go and take this for a run and just see the difference between a 2-year-old Tesla, although an S, and the brand new Y, and see what we get for our money. And I think you'll get rather more than we bargained for. I didn't do that. Just pointing that out, that wasn't me.
That was not that.
Okay, thank you. Before I get blamed for most things, but that wasn't me, right? So, guys, I mean, again, this is an interesting piece of equipment. The new cars, most of the key work will be done on your mobile phone, but of course, if you do lose your mobile phone, this is the key. And for those who saw me moaning about the 𝐕𝐢𝐝 products, this is, I don't know what to say about this, but it's a credit card. Is it a key? For old folks like me, I like a key, but hey ho, we are, we'll see. So apparently, you wiggle it on here, and it will either lock or close the doors. There we go. That's opened the doors. So, and you push this, and I guess we're in. So, it's Spartan would be what I would call it, but maybe that's the way that the things were in Space 1999 for those that remember it. But actually, it's, I don't know what to say, but let's go and have a look. So, I mean, the first thing we say about this car, it's quite big, and some of the videos we've done, we've got into SUVs or crossovers of this size, and I said a number of times, you know, I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but I've struggled, and I know I would struggle to do long journeys. Not so much in this at all. Loads of room, plenty of space. Maybe that's why it's so Spartan. Straight away you notice there's no clocks and dials, and again, I suppose something I'm going to have to get used to. A great big display screen, and, you know, strangely enough, showcasing the Sustainable Fleets podcast, which is one of our own podcasts as well. And of course, for those who should have a listen to some of the things that we do there too. This car is brand new, so let's have a look at here. This is where the key goes. So you got we just drop it onto this central piece here, and apparently we're at that point we're in fact good to go. So let's put the old seat belt on, put it into drive, and I guess we're good to go. Loads of decent storage for a car of this size, and again, I can't tell you how pleased I am with the amount of space. It's really comfortable, lovely pan roof. This car comes as relatively as standard, so I was talking to the chap before and said, you know, there are no real extras to buy for this car. It comes already laid out with all the things that you'd expect in the car. Now, as we always say, I mean, with the EV piece, these things are really quick, and this is really quick. I can't get used to having no clocks and dials. It's more go-karty, and I think I miss me clocks, but like a lot of things, you get used to this kind of thing, you do really. But bags and bags of space, and I'll have a look later on just to see how much quality space we got. I mean, right turn mirrors, I mean, this is fantastic. You know, love that. And you know, for those who've looked at our more recent videos, you'll seen us looking at the Jag, the Mach-E. We're looking at the Porsche very soon. None of them that I've been in up to now have got the space of this car. None of them. You know, not at all. You know, this has got as much space nearly as the S. It's certainly a really interesting car, and it comes in around £57,000, and of course it sounds like a lot, but your Mach-E GT long range is in the same kind of ballpark price. This is a properly quick car, I have to say, really quick car. 88 kilowatts or 82, I'll have to just double check on that, so it's got a range, real world range, motorway 270-ish, but we'll come back to you on that, of course, when we've tried it. And round town range, this should give you 4 miles to the kilowatt hour, and you should be aiming for that now. You'll see people out there that have managed to get 5 and 6, but I mean, this is not real world driving. But real world driving in a car like this, normal stuff, you should aim for 4. So if this is touching 80 kilowatts, 4.8's 32, you should have a round town joint range of around 300 miles, 320 miles, and that's what you should be aiming to get. And I think getting that kind of range for something like this makes this one of the most usable cars in its class. North of 300 miles. Motorways kill electric cars. They just do, especially if you're doing more than, 65 miles an hour. So it is really important to understand that you've got to drive the car to get the most out of it. You've got to drive it well, and you've got to drive it respectfully, and you've got to try and get the very best out of it that you possibly can. But first thoughts on this car. I like it. I like this car a lot. It's really good. And we've driven some really interesting cars just recently at the Kia as well. Again, a lovely thing to drive. The tech in this car, and I've said it about Tesla right from day one, the build quality in this is much better than the one I'm in. And I've been driving one now for 2 years. The build quality was never the best, but the tech on board, the way that you can charge it, the way you can interact with that car remotely is bonkers. And one thing that I will say about Tesla is every week we get a new update. Every week something different changes in that car. Whether it's camera spec, whether it's parking age, it doesn't matter what it is. You get something every day that adds value to your driving experience with Tesla. We've got a number of electric cars, and we're going to do a bit of a roadshow in before Christmas, where we've got a number of cars together with the drivers, and we can talk you through how they found their first 6, 12, 18 month experience in that space. It's going to be really interesting because there's so many different dynamics against the Volkswagen, the Merc, the Jag, and we run quite a number of those cars on fleet now. And my car's 45,000 miles, so we're getting into some good mileage into these now. I'm starting to get some really decent feedback on miles per kilowatt hour, etc., etc. And even at a lot of motorway work with small amounts of urban work, we're still getting north of 3.3, 3.4, 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour. So it's interesting. But this car is whoa, blisteringly quick. It's quicker than mine for sure. And I suppose it's brand new. I suppose it's like everything else, but it is very, very quick. Super quick. So we've been out for a run, and we're coming back now back to the traffic centre to the Tesla charging bank, just to see how easy it is to couple up this Y to the new system. And I think you'll find it really interesting and really useful. So let's just pull in here, and for those who are interested, we'll be able to show you what this car has been doing for the last few miles on its trip journey. So watch our cameras on the way back. It's pretty amazing cameras, I have to say. The one thing I'll give them for what they do with these cars is these cameras are blooming good. That is really, really class and clear. Really good. Really, really good. Okay, so let's have a look at this again. If you look at the current screen, current trip, and the last things we're doing here. So we're doing somewhere between over the last 18 miles or so, on an average it's doing around 2.76 watts per mile. So that's about three and a bit miles to the kilowatt hour, and that's brand new car, not running, not used to the driving. So over the last 7,000 miles or so, which is pretty much the mileage the car's done. It's averaging more than 3 miles to the kilowatt hour. So I think driven, and as a demonstrating vehicle, you know, it's been driven by so many different people, it's going to be hard to, but as you get into this, you can start to see how this car will generate the returns you expect. Electric cars tend to get slightly better as you get more used to being driving, so once you get past 10,000 miles, you start to see them being more used to you and how you drive, and that's when you should start to see that move up. But there is no reason why this car isn't capable of doing 4 miles to the kilowatt hour across the piece, which again makes it a super useful piece of equipment. Right, so we'll put it into park, which is good, and we'll go into the dashboard here. We'll take away off the podcast, and let's have a look at that, and then we'll go into charging, and we'll open up the charging port. I'm not going to charge the car now because it's actually nearly fully charged, so I'm going to just going to show you how it plugs in, etc., and then we'll move on back to base. So let's have a look. So one of the best things about Tesla, full stop, is their ability to onboard charging, and I think that's one of the things I first liked about the car, is that this is probably one of the best cars on the ground anywhere in the world for charging and onboarding. It makes the car so much easier to use than anything else. And of course, the Tesla charging banks that have been opened up to other cars now have made journeys across the country, and I've been to north of Scotland, I've been down to South Wales and Cornwall in mine, and you know, the journey, when some cases been slightly challenging but actually totally doable, and most of the challenge has been my making and not of the car or the charging facilities. But this is capable of AC and DC charging. Of course, it'll start at 7, 11, 22, right the way up to 350 kilowatt charging. So all we need to do with that is open a flap, plug it in, and we're good to go. You know, that's that physically all we need to do is from an opening point. We don't need to do anything else. You go off in the traffic centre, grab yourself a coffee or a cup of tea, or you're going a bit of shopping. 30-40 minutes later, this car will be charged. You know, and that's the difference between this and anything else. And these charging facilities make that possible to do so. So not only is this a great car, it's got great space. It's not actually a bad looking thing. With the exception it hasn't got any clocks and dials, which is more my problem than the car. You know, it's certainly one to watch, and certainly I think something that's going to be great value in that space where it takes it, you know, 40-50,000 less than an S. You know, it's certainly better than a 3, much better than a 3. So we're back at Tesla in Trafford Park, and we've had a good run round in a car that I really like. And I say that a lot, but I actually like the cars we drive. If there was something really bad, then I would say it's really bad. The technology in this car is going to be good. They've been doing this for a long time now, Tesla, and we're into 10 years of seeing Tesla cars on the ground and doing a job. I have to say, and every time I've got into a newer one, all the cars we speak about have got better since their first iterations. I want to have a quick look around this one and give you a feel for where 2022 brings you with the new Model Y. So it's really cool. You know, it's really cool. You've got vegan leather seats, which in the old world for me was plastic, but they don't feel like plastic. They really look well. The trims, you've got several trims you can pick from, but of course this one's in the wood trim. We'll see. But you know, it's a good car with plenty of room, and it's a great size for a family car. You know, 300 miles of range, up to 350 kilowatt charging. Let's have a look. Let's open the boot. You can do it from inside, from the dashboard, everything from the dashboard. The thing that worries me about everything from the dashboard, if you lose the dashboard, you've lost your car. So I mean, I guess we can work it from the phone, like I can, but equally so, it's a little bit one-dimensional. Great boot. Look at this. I mean, we talk about all the time on these crossovers how much space we've got. Loads of space. Even a wheel trim. Who knew? I didn't break that either, just before I get blamed for that. But down either side, great bit of space. You know, really like that. Really like that. And of course, it's just a pushy button, is it? Let's see. Well, and there you go, it's electric. And for those who, again, don't forget, there was a car we looked at recently that I complained bitterly about having to close the boot myself. I mean, how lazy am I? You know, let's face it. I guess the bit for me around all of these things is this becomes in a price bracket of a top end of the middle price cars, and that sounds quite odd, but your entry level decent range electric cars are about middle 40s with a reasonable spec. This is the high end of that at 57,000. But do you know something? It's very plush, it's very smart. Technologically, really clever. You know, it's got everything that you need, and I guess certainly nothing you don't need, because there's nothing in there apart from an iPad on the dashboard, which I find fantastic but strange and weird at the same time. So I think construction, build, the Americans have learned. This was probably made in China and not in America, because I have to say that the quality of the build is so much better than what I've been used to in the past. So as we're coming around the car, I nearly always forget, and of course Tom always reminds me, but I think it's super important that we have to find it now, so bear with me while I find the bonnet release, because in my car I push a button and the bonnet opens up. With this car you've got to go and play with the iPad, so bear with me. Not over technical, however, I hasten to add, but there nonetheless. So we have a bonnet, which, you know, nice and light, nothing not to love. A decent space, guys. You know, you can put cables in here. There's plenty of things you can actually put in here other than your cable, which is unusual for cars of this size. Really nice. There's a red mark on the bonnet, which wasn't me, by the way, before I get blamed for that as well. But yeah, great space. Water washer bottle for those who want to do maintenance, and you're good to go. What a car. So take my phone, it's now charged, and close your car up. I'm not sure what you can do with on the key fob. You can't lock and close the doors and what have you. I guess it's one of those things where you have to get back to old money and do it from the screen. But I think from my point of view, if you look to your left there and you can see a car produced by Tesla in 2020 against the car produced by Tesla in 2020, later 2021 and 2022, you know, you can see the difference in potentially when you start to look inside internally. You know, this car's gone 40,000 miles now, and it is still holding up well. You know, I have to say the quality of the screen, the quality of the bits for me, it's bits of trim that tends to not hold itself on well or fall off or whatever, but you know, I can't complain. You know, I think overall my journey with this car up to now has been quite interesting. I've had a number of incidents, but I mean nothing major, nothing you wouldn't find with a lot of, you know, your standard diesel or petrol cars. All of them have been fixed online, so they've not had to be into it, and it's not due its first service till September. And all of the noise around running electric cars is all about the price of the car. But you know, this car charges immensely quickly, and it's still doing some great miles, and I'm still getting north of 320 miles out of it. You know, so I'm fully converted to our electric superhighway. Two good cars. I have to say, fantastic shout with the Y. I hope you've enjoyed our few minutes together. I love coming out and doing this kind of work, talking about EVs, talking about commercial vehicles as well. We've got a great one coming up next week. Please watch that. Your eyes will be out your head. Let's have a catch up again very soon. Thank you for watching Pro Hire Truck TV. Of course, we had a bit of a move towards our sustainable podcast on the Tesla we're in, which is great. If you're not watching that, or you're not listening to that, I should say, please subscribe to our podcast. It's on Spotify. Really some great interesting conversations, not with me, I'm talking to interesting people. So and I think you'll find that these people are really loving the journey that they're on in their sustainable world. Please subscribe if you can, and we'll speak to you again soon, guys. Thank you.